What is going on, guys? This is your boy XQ420. Welcome back. Another episode of Showtime with the Cube. I've got my co-host, the powerful Corey Hughes. Corey, how you doing?
Good, man. Good.
I'm doing well myself. Today, guys, we're bringing you Black Adam. Okay, the movie review. Now, hopefully, you got to check out our trailer review of Black Adam and what we initially thought. I think me and Corey are probably in agreement of how we felt about this particular movie. But of course, we'll dive into that. Now, if it's your first time to the channel, don't hesitate. Hit the subscribe button. If you listen to us on podcast platforms, hit the follow button there. We appreciate everybody for checking us out. So, Corey, we're going to have this in three sections. First thing, we're going to talk about the visuals, how we think that was done. Secondly, we'll speak about the individual characters. And then thirdly, we will discuss the plot, or some people say lack thereof, which there was a plot there, okay? It just wasn't overly sophisticated, which, in some cases can be okay. So the first thing we'll speak about, Corey, is the visuals. How did you feel about the overall visuals throughout the entire movie, the CGI and things of that nature?
The visuals are always good, right? Like, that's never a gripe with any of the Marvel or DC or any of these high budget production movies. It's never the visuals. The visuals are always impressive, right? Like, it's pure magic on the screen. So yes, the presentation I thought was good. Like, I liked it wasn't overdone. Although I gotta say, man, superheroes sure know how to bust up some fucking buildings, right? Can't they do anything without breaking up some buildings? Like, they don't think anything of the little guy or the economy or nothing. Like, he was blowing fucking walls off of this joint. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, just throwing people through buildings, blasting them with his lightning. Black Adam, well, Teth Adam for most of the movie. Most of the movie, guys, did I say spoilers? Hot damn, you ought to know. Look, but I don't think we've reviewed anything with no spoilers. Have we yet? No?
No, we spoil everything.
Okay, yeah, so if you're listening to this and you want to go see the movie in theaters, go watch it. Or if you got an alternate source that you pay for. Right, Corey?
Of course.
Source that you pay for.
Right.
All right, go check it out before you watch us. Come back and watch us or listen to us, but go check it out. I felt the same way with you, Corey. The only thing that I felt was kind of an awkward CGI moment. And when we're speaking about Marvel and DC products, we're speaking about the mostly the movies. Of course, we know with the recent She-Hulk CGI, that was absolutely horrific. Okay, that was the most horrific thing that I've seen from Marvel.
And then I find out that the She-Hulk was actually a guy.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Do what?
The She-Hulk was a guy. Yeah, the She-Hulk was played by a guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, so much for that. Well, Marvel did that in Black Widow as well, where Taskmaster was played as a guy. When he was out there doing the scenes, it was a guy who was in the suit, but then it's like, oh, it's a woman the whole time. I'm like, come on, man. So Fish was good. The only thing that was weird is when they CGI'd The Rock's face on an itty bitty body.
Oh my God! Oh my God! OMG! Was that necessary?
Dude,
no.
That was awkward, man.
Awkward. He looked like a skinny little nothing, man. I'm like, that was
like a bobblehead.
No. I understand why they did it, but he could have been he could have been just The Rock, dude. He could have just been The Rock. Like, there were strong dudes back then. Okay, so they didn't need to do that. It didn't add to the plot. In fact, if you notice it whatsoever, it detracts from everything. And I noticed that. I'm like, damn, The Rock's skinny. He ain't been that skinny since. Dude, he was bigger than that in high school.
That's what I know. I was sitting there, I was like, because in the initial parts of the movie, you're thinking maybe, and of course we're diving this in the plot, but you're thinking, okay, so the little kid, you're thinking like Shazam. All right, so Shazam, he's a little kid. When he says Shazam, he becomes bigger. So I was like, okay, little kid, and then it becomes bigger. But that's as we find out when we go through the plot, that's not the case. So that bit of CGI was just a tad. Like, I was like, damn, but this is like, it's visually. It was hard to look at visually because you always what The Rock looks like. All right,
Right.
And that's not him at all. So it's just obvious.
I kept doing double takes. I kept like looking extra. Like whenever they would show him, I would be like, "What's going on there?"
Yeah, it was very weird. But as far as everything else, visually stunning. There's no doubt about it. Across the board, I think they did very well with all the scenes, all the action. Because we got to think the majority. Actually, all of this movie's action. You've got like 10, maybe 15 minutes where there's no action going on. Maybe. So,
I thought it was well balanced.
20 minutes?
I thought it was fairly well balanced with storyline and plot development, and everything else seemed to flow nicely. I didn't think that anything seemed forced, although I didn't really see the necessity of the fight scenes between fucking Hawkman and Black Adam. I just didn't. There was no point.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that, but
it's Nemesis. It's Nemesis, man. It's the arch Nemesis. Maybe potentially setting something up for the future. But yeah. So overall, I was just very impressed at the amount of action that was in it, and most of it had to be CGI.
Yeah.
With flight, with the different suits, with them crushing buildings, and at no point in time did I feel like any of that was forced as far as the CGI looking bad. So I thought all that went well, and they spent a buku. The majority of the budget past your actors went into the CGI. There's no doubt about it. With the amount of fighting, explosions.
What's The Rock getting a film these days? I mean, he's got to be close to $30 million a film.
Maybe. I mean, they might have negotiated with him. Maybe $20 million, and then depending on the sales royalties from there, maybe.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? That's what that'd be a cool number. All right, 20 mil up front, royalties on the back end. So I feel pretty good about that. Yeah. So guys, this particular film, visually stunning, no doubt about it. Like I said, nothing seemed forced. Everything looked good. Everything looked quote unquote believable as you can get with these particular type of movies. So visuals have got that. So now we're going to move over into the characters, okay? And we're going to speak about each one, and then me and Corey are going to rank our rankings of how much we like the characters. So, of course, we have our initial character, which is Black Adam. Okay, so Corey, give me your thoughts on his character and did you like the character Black Adam?
I did. God, how do I even express my feelings towards this character? Because the character itself was good. I don't know if I'd call this a gripe, but again, if I'm noticing a disturbance in the flow of the film over something, then obviously it's a problem. So there was a lot of the little chuckles, the deadpan stuff. But I don't think that was overly pulled off well. He went from being very serious to almost ridiculous at times.
A little comical. Yeah.
A little, right. And I don't think it really had a place. I think they should have made this dark across the board.
Well, they introduced that with the kid. That's how that was introduced, with the kid telling him, "Oh man, you need a punchline and all that," because he took a liking to the particular kid in this story. So
I didn't even have a problem with the kid and how he explained that. It was it was a little meta, but it was okay. There were just times when The Rock was obviously involved in a joke, but he was deadpan, and it just came off making the character, it diminished the powerfulness of the character a little bit. So that's my only complaint in as far as how the character was portrayed.
Yeah. I seen those moments as kind of like callbacks to almost like Terminator. You've got this being this like, stoic, and then all of a sudden it's like cracking a joke. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in the middle. So there was
none of that in Terminator 1. It was Terminator 2.
No, Yeah, Terminator 2, where that happened.
And there it was a little bit more acceptable. We were seeing a little bit more human side of a character we had already established was a killer. Obviously, it's a totally different storyline, and Arnold's been reprogrammed. But yeah, if it would have been like in the first one, if Arnold was cracking jokes, and the closest thing you came to that was when he takes those guys' clothes.
Right.
It's wash day, nothing clean, right? That was the closest thing you came to Arnold being lighthearted in that movie, and it wasn't at all. So, but this character, I think, should have been more deadpan when they should have dropped the jokes, and I think could have come off a little better.
Yeah. I thought he did that he did good for the most part as far as Black Adam. I noticed there's a lot of people out there talking about how his acting was poor. I think that sometimes we're not understanding the whole aspect of this particular character. The last thing he remembers is completely demolishing a city, and he gets lost. So that's like, so whenever this particular character goes into 5,000 years later, has no idea what's going on. His mindset is still in Kahndaq 5,000 years ago. So he's looking for things that are familiar. So he's when he was put to sleep, he's got that particular persona. I mean, the last thing he remembers is rage. Okay. So, with him being deadpan, with the way he approached, pretty much anything that was in his way, which is kill it. I mean, let's be honest. He's like programmed to kill pretty much, because he's filled with rage. So, I thought that as far as his character goes, that it was a perfect, almost perfect rendition of how you would be if somebody woke you up 5,000 years later. You know what I'm saying? So if people can harken back to the movie Old Boy, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but in Old Boy, gentleman gets kidnapped and he gets locked in a room for 20 years. 20 years later, the guy puts him in a suitcase and drops him off in the middle of the field. Well, you got to think 20 years has passed, but shit's totally different. So it's just like social awkwardness. You're still trying to approach life as you did all those years ago. So
that's the one where he bangs his daughter, right?
Yeah, man, that stuff is that movie is messed up, man.
That's all I know.
That movie's messed up, and that was the plan the whole time. That's the whole thing. That was the plan for my man to corral him into banging his own daughter, and then show it. It's like, dang, bro, that's messed up. But I thought it was acceptable enough to his the way The Rock approached this particular film as Black Adam, and I didn't think that he. I know people were maybe looking for more dialogue, but how much dialogue are you going to have with folks that you don't know? It's 5,000 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's folks here that are trying to kill you. They're attacking you. And so you act accordingly. And now you're trying to go back to places that you remember, but things are different. So there should be a little awkwardness there. And his stoic personality, I think, was fair enough for this particular thing. Could you agree on those terms?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So another thing about the character that The Rock plays, this Black Adam, here's in a situation where I would have appreciated some more backstory in as far as the relationship with the Wizards, because that was brushed over really quickly, and we're left to assume that we saw Shazam in the first place, right? Which I like Shazam. Shazam was cool. That was one where humor was a good part of it. It was quirky and cute, and I liked it. And we understood what they were doing and giving the powers to a hero, right, in Shazam. But I don't really still understand how that applies to Black Adam. Why was Black Adam not mentioned at all during Shazam?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different because, and we'll dive into this when we're in the plot, but there's a council of wizards at that time, as opposed to when Shazam, there's just the one wizard left, pretty much. So that's a little bit of a stark difference. But that's Black Adam. So next up that we're going to speak about is is Hawkman, the black dude. I'm assuming he's the leader of the JSA. He sure seemed like it. He seemed like he made the plans, even though Dr. Fate seemed to be a long-standing member, but Hawkman seemed to be the main guy. Is Hawk? I'm assuming Hawkman just has like super strength and speed somehow,
He just has a suit.
or is it like, or is he just like the Falcon? Or is it like the Falcon?
Just like the Falcon, they're copies of each other, basically. And if this is a beginning of a DC universe, not that I really give a shit about canon. Mm-hmm. I mean, they change things all the time. We know that. But,
yeah.
There wasn't a Black Hawkman for like 50 years. It was a white character for 50 fucking years before they changed that sometime like 20 years ago. So I feel like they took that character as a direct copy of Falcon, 100%. Like the actor seemed the same. His mannerisms were the same. Everything about him seemed like a copy paste of Falcon. And so I don't know why they went that direction with Hawkman. I personally didn't like the character. He was just a dick the whole fucking movie, you know?
Well, him and Waller, they birds, was it? Birds of a feather flock together or some shit like that.
Right.
And that saying. So yeah, they had similar personalities. Of course, we know that Waller has no problem killing people, and Hawkman has this thing against killing people. So I guess he just knocks everybody out. He said, "I'd rather not kill anybody. I would just rather knock people out." Now I'm assuming that his weapon of choice has some type of magical powers. That's what I had to assume.
So we saw Hawkman in the Justice League, right?
Did we?
Did we? That's what I'm asking. I think we did. Because the character looked familiar. Like I feel like we've seen him before.
I can't say that I've seen him.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the Justice League movie. The 4 hour one. I don't think I've seen
him. Do you think it? It might have been. You see, I haven't seen the Snyder's Cut.
What?
So
what?
I hadn't seen this. Yeah, I hadn't seen the Snyder's
Hold on a second. You what? They haven't seen the Snyder Cut? There are very few movies I will say are a must-see because of the grand scale of them, and the Snyder Cut is fucking lit. If you can sit through 4 hours of black and white. So.
Okay, yeah, so that's going to be the whole thing, because, I mean, I'll have to get my girlfriend to watch it with me, and she's going to be like, how long is this movie again?
Well, that movie was well done. It felt epic on a grand scale and all contained into a single film, and not having to have fucking 3 of them or 4 of them or whatever.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah, man, it's making me want to go watch it now. No, it's a good flick. Definitely check it out, and I think they kind of assume that we saw that, right? I think that the people who are putting out DC's movies, they're kind of assuming that we're seeing the previous films. I'd like to go and look at a list of like the DC films of recent years that are going to end up having an impact on their DC universe.
Right. Which from what I understood, this is technically their kickoff. I guess they didn't like their previous, even though they're using characters that they already had previously. I guess this is like them actually fully diving into, working up towards a big bad, which we would assume would be Darkseid, because he's really the big bad of the DC universe overall. But yeah, Hawkman, I can agree with you that he was pretty much an asshole the whole time. And there wasn't a whole lot that was likable about him. I just got to be honest. I mean, now here's one thing, bud. The man won't scared. Okay, I can give this to him. Man won't never scared because he was toting an ass whooping the whole movie. I mean, so I don't know what that suit's made of, but bud, it's made of something good because the way he was getting his ass kicked up and down the street, but it was just like he got his ass kicked by everybody. I said, damn, man. I said, this dude's tough, man. I give him that because he can tote ass whooping. Hawkman, I believe in you, brother. Even though, like when Dr. Fate said, "Oh yeah, man, I seen you die." Ain't no problem, bud. I got to go try anyway. He said, "Damn, bro, hey, I got to give it to my man." They said, "I'm gonna give it the college try." So obviously, leader of the JSA. He had the ship. He had the facility, the mansion. He had it all. Of course, it didn't give you a ton of ideas as far as any type of backstories on these characters. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if they're going to do any follow-ups for these particular characters. seeing how it was kind of they were kind of randomly put in, but
Yes.
I guess you had to have somebody chasing Black Adam because that was the majority of the movie. Could you feel that way?
Well, yeah, but that's part of my gripes with the character selection in this film, because I felt all of the characters of the Justice Society were weak.
They were
all
just kind
these
of dropped
guys
in.
they were just weak, disposable. Like Atom Smasher, like what's his deal? I didn't like him at all.
So let's talk about Atom Smasher. Let's talk about Atom Smasher. I don't really have a memorable moment from Atom Smasher. I know he was supposed if I'm correct, he's supposed to be comic relief.
And he kind of fulfilled the Peter Parker kind of character, that kind of naive kid, the comic relief, still learning how to control his powers. Remember?
Yeah, he's needed
his name out of the air.
Yeah, he's needed this because you see him talking to his uncle, who originally had the suit. So his powers seems to be just strictly derived from the suit, kind of like Ant-Man.
Right, was there a phase where Marvel and DC just copied each other? I mean, it's so many
for the most part.
So many duplicates.
For the most part. Well, he goes the other way, so he doesn't get. Which we know Ant-Man can go large, but he usually doesn't. But Atom Smasher just always goes big, which I don't know. It just seems like he'd just be destroying a whole bunch of shit going big.
Right. And if he's going to smash Atom, shouldn't he go small?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, man. We can't tie up all the loose ends, okay? We just got to let some of this stuff ride out. But yeah, Atom Smasher, the only thing I grasped from him, he was young, he was inexperienced, and he was trying to bang Cyclone, the black chick. He wanted some of that.
With the rainbow swirls?
Yep. He wanted some of that. He was looking at her. He was talking to her. She knew it. It was kind of nervous energy. I said, man, just ask her for some booty, man. You know what I'm saying? Just be like, hey, we about to die here. So, I mean, before we go, because we just seen Black Adam just whoop some ass. I mean, he whooped all our asses. So, I mean, before we go, I mean, let's go on. Can I go on and get some of that? I mean,
Last Night on Earth
just
speech.
Asking. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, Atom Smasher, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, disposable. Cyclone, kind of the same thing. She didn't have a ton of impact. How'd you feel about Cyclone? It's not much to feel.
I almost want to say who. Like, that's how memorable she was.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I'm not really thrilled. What's her power? She streaks rainbows?
Yeah, well, it looks like wind. So the power of wind.
Yeah,
and she also has nanotechnology. She also has nanotechnology. Somehow.
Oh, that's right. They sent the B team after fucking Black Adam is what they did.
Yeah, I know. This one the A team. Waller didn't. She didn't think this through.
And here's another thing with it's the Justice Society, which I acknowledge there has always been a Justice League and a Justice Society, which I always
Society of America.
Of America, right? There is that distinction because there is the International Justice Society as well. Ridiculous. So yeah, I actually watched the movie twice, and the second time I picked apart a whole lot more things. The first time it was a great watch, and I was like, wow, and this was awesome. And I mean, there was things that irritated me, but when I watched it through the second time, the things that irritated me really fucking irritated me.
It really rang home.
Yeah, so back to the characters. The Rainbow Swirl Girl left virtually no impression whatsoever. None of these characters left an impression other than Hawkman, because he had a lot of screen time. He had a lot of action. He did some ass kicking. He got his ass kicked, and he was an asshole. So he at least left an impression with me. So,
well, we do know where his moral compass is. Okay.
Yes,
he is not into killing at all. Period.
He's a very black and white guy, though. It's like it's either this or that. It's like doesn't seem like there's much room for compromise. He doesn't see shades of gray. The character itself is just way too rigid. Like I don't understand why it was so rigid. And obviously, you're dealing with one of the most powerful people on the planet in Black Adam, like akin to Superman. So you might want to change your fucking attitude when you go and try to deal with this guy.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. It's like, hey, man, we might have to like straight up put him down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that should have been in your mind. So, Cyclone, Dr. Fate, which is Pierce Brosnan. He didn't really do a ton in this movie.
Again,
until right up to the end.
Again, a weak character, and personally, I didn't like Pierce Brosnan in this role. I remember growing up watching Pierce Brosnan as Remington Steele, right, on TV.
James Bond.
And then James Bond, right? But I remember even when he took the role of James Bond, I was concerned back then that he was getting kind of old. The guy's got to be 80 fucking years old. No matter how good he looks because of plastic surgery, the dude's ancient. And he is a suave, kind of mild accent guy. But I don't know. I feel that character should have been much stronger, much more decisive. He seemed to always know the right thing, but I think he needed to be a little bit more of a powerful character in as far as his presence, not necessarily his powers.
Well, people, with what I've been watching, just little shorts, they said that they did nerf him per se for the movie. So he's a nerf version. There's one thing that I did notice is that he almost kind of always, and if we harken back to Marvel, he almost always has the time stone available, because when he touches his helmet, he always sees visions of the future, which is kind of like when Doctor Strange looked at all those different paths in the future and the one way to beat Thanos. So it was kind of like the same thing with Dr. Fate. So that's kind of that's a shitty way to be alive, because you just kind of always know the future. It's like, yeah, man, I seen every way, and Bo, you dying. Okay, I mean, it's just no doubt about it. So he kind of, I don't know, he kind of seemed like him continuously knowing the future has kind of beat him down. Let's just say that, because he just kind of he wasn't really involved in the fight. He was just kind of there. He was almost like a veteran presence. Let's just say that.
Right.
Veteran presence. Yeah. Maybe they. Of course, it seems like him and Hawkman have a distinct friendship. Cyclone and Atom Smasher seem relatively new to this particular society, but it seems like Hawkman and Dr. Fate has done a whole lot of adventures, different missions in the past, from the way that they spoke to each other.
Right. And one more thing about Dr. Fate, which obviously we're not going to be seeing him again, right? This is a one-shot deal for Dr. Fate, perhaps?
Well, here they left it open. Now, I don't think it'll be Pierce Brosnan, but here's what they did say. They said the helmet has to choose who it allows to touch it.
Okay. So it's going to be another one of them fucking deals.
Yeah. The helmet has to choose who it will allow to touch it, because the one girl was like,
so we're obviously going to get some fucking Mexican lesbian is going to be the next fucking Dr. Fate.
This is some chick, they, them. No, I think they're done with the they, thems.
I hope so.
Ezra Miller, they're like, but the last time we had a they, them in this thing, boy, I mean, it about sunk the whole franchise. Okay, are they still going to release the Flash movie?
I don't know. Was it completed other than the?
I think so.
Then they should go for it. This is America. They got to make that money back, and people will pay to see it.
They were like, "Yeah, we're going to recast with the Flash too." I was like, "Oh, so that means y'all just." Okay, y'all gonna release the first Flash. Okay,
it's funny. I used to appreciate, growing up, I would hate when they just, like, an actor died or something and they had to replace the actor. Right? I would hate that, but now I respect it, because instead they come up with stupid ways of transitioning characters, like Doctor Who. It's currently Doctor Who is a big controversy over Doctor Who right now, because the last season sucked. And Doctor Who was regenerating, and it was just a woman for the first time. And so everyone's like, ooh, who's it going to regenerate to, right? Same thing. But so Dr. Fate, the one thing I wanted to mention, which I thought opened some doors, was when he's fighting, what's the bad guy's name?
Sabak.
Sabak, that's right. And he has the crown of Sabak.
Well, it's actually Ishmael. So
Ishmael, right.
Ishmael.
So when he's fighting him, he goes, I'm Dr. Fate. Lord of the Seventh Realm of the region of the Council of Wizards or whatever group he fucking said he was from. Yeah. That I'm interested in. That caught my attention. Give me some information on this fucking group that he's from that has to do with wizards or whatever they are. That could go somewhere in future stories. Hopefully they'll give us a little more information on that. You know, it's funny because so many times it's like people are never really happy, and me included, right? Like if we get too much backstory, we bitch just too much backstory. If there's not enough, we bitch just not enough.
Oh yeah. But that's what you got to do.
This one had a good balance, but it brought up a couple things that are obviously there's way more backstory to some of the characters and plots and groups here that we don't know anything about. So yeah, there's a lot for them to play with. A big sandbox here.
Yeah, the one thing that I do not want them to do if they do a future Dr. Fate project, I do not want them to do like a prequel, like something before this movie. That's what I don't want. I'm
over prequels.
Yeah, I want a completely different Dr. Fate, which is kind of what they because of course we're talking about it. The helmet disappears, so I'm assuming that it goes to some other place and somebody eventually finds it. That's my assumption from what they got. So we got those. We've got the. How'd you feel about the mom and the kid? Was it Adriana and Amon?
You know, it's as good as it's just what it is. You know, it made me feel like the mom and the kid from Samaritan, right? Like,
okay,
they always got to have the somebody who needs to be defended, the kid who needs to be saved, rescuing the princess,
or like Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox from Transformers. That's what it kind of almost is like.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
The normies who get pulled into the plot, you know.
Yeah, and of course, well, I ain't even gonna say she got pulled into it, but she created the plot. All right, by somehow knowing exactly where to go to find Sabac's or the crown of Sabac, and it's just like, man, y'all need to do better at hiding shit. Okay, I mean, if somebody just not. I mean, he's not right into a rock, Bo. He just shit one rock. He's like, oh, what's down there? Oh, shit, it's the crown of Sabac. Hey, well, you know. I mean, how you know about it? You know what I'm saying? So we had, of course, we had her brother as well, which he was just supposed to be strictly comic relief. I guess he filled his role as best as possible. We had the kid who was befriending Black Adam. Say, hey, you know, you can be a good guy. So I guess you got to have somebody in there that says, hey, Black Adam or Teth Adam. I mean, it's Teth Adam for most of the movie. It's not Black Adam until the end, and they don't even say his name. It just shows it in the end credits. But it's Teth Adam for the majority of the movie. And, you know, the kid is just there to kind of be Teth Adam's moral compass. Could you agree with that?
Yes, but, you know, thinking about linguistics from 5,000 years ago, it should have been Teth Adam. That's how it really should have been said. Like, that's how people back then spoke. All right, so.
Actually, they spoke in a completely different language, so I'm not sure how Teth Adam even knew the English language. He should have been speaking in Kahndaq.
See, at least in Star Trek, everyone's got a universal translator. So it doesn't matter what species you run into. They all speak fucking English.
Right. So when he first comes back and they're shooting at him, he speaks in ancient Kahndaq. You know, he says your magic is weak when they're shooting the bullets at him. You know what I'm saying?
And that's it. Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned Kahndaq, because Kahndaq, come on, they couldn't come up with a better fucking name. I mean, like, they made up a fictional city.
Available. That's the best they had available currently.
I guess, but they just made it up, right? So,
yeah,
like Kahndaq has its own fucking little universe. You know, it's I don't know what to think about it. That's weird. Sometimes you can pull off a fictional city, and sometimes you can't. And this time, I thought it seemed forced.
Yeah, because it almost seemed like it was this great city back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's this great city. It's just like, and then you look at it today, and it's just like, man. Y'all got dirt roads, man. I mean, how great a city is it? I mean, y'all got dirt roads and stuff, man. I mean, they don't look too great to me. I'm just saying, maybe it's a little biases or whatever, being from the West per se. But I mean, what you want me to do, man? What you want me to do? So the two kids, let's see. And then we had our villain, who ends up becoming Sabak, Ishmael. He's just
kind of
running the mill.
Yeah,
running the mill guy. Just.
And I think it was like he wasn't a very important character.
No.
Until they put that crown on. Like, they didn't develop a guy. See, you'd think they would be developing some bad guy who halfway through the film finally gets the crown, not pulls a twist on you and takes the crown, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was a little weak in setup, but.
Yeah. Okay. So, disregarding the people who are not quote unquote superheroes, how would you rank the characters in order?
Oh, Black Adam, Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Adam, and then Hurricane, whatever chick with the rainbows. Yeah.
You don't know her name, so that lets me know that she could have not even been in the movie and it'd have been okay. I don't know. Cyclone did at least say she has nanoparticles, so I like your particular setup you got there. I would just switch Atom Smasher and Cyclone. Atom Smasher just seemed like a dumbass to me. He just seemed like somebody who couldn't really do anything. At least I knew what Cyclone could do. Atom Smasher, he got knocked out. He fell down into a building. You know what I'm saying? He did do one thing when well, no, he didn't even do that. I was going to say he catched that the statue that fell over. That was Teth Adam. They call that. So never mind. Atom Smasher didn't do a whole lot. Okay. He didn't do a whole lot at all. He thought that he did hit Black Adam one time, but it didn't put him down. So yeah. I think we're in agreement there. I would be interested to see a new Dr. Fate in the future. I'll be interested in that to see exactly where the helmet derives its power from and things of that nature. I think that could be a very interesting film.
Oh, they'll find some underprivileged chick to give it to. I guarantee it. Mark my fucking words.
Underprivileged? How underprivileged? I mean, what
I don't know. They're going to make up some other fictional fucking village that sucks to pull her out of.
All right. So that's the characters. Now we're going to get into the meat of this, the plot. Okay. So we get the initial backstory, which kind of fools you initially, because you see the kid, all right? You see him talking to his father, but at that point in time, you don't see the father's face. You see the kid get captured after he found the Eternium. The Eternium.
All right, let's pause right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not see a problem with the name Eternia for the goddamn mineral that we're looking for? I see about 1 million problems with it. Like, it's almost as dumb as unobtainium. Like, seriously, it's like Eternium. Okay, so it's too much like Eternia, which was like where fucking He-Man and Skeletor were from. I thought it was rather ridiculous. Well,
they were sitting here. Oh yeah, we're trying to find Eternium. And then I was like, okay. But then they were like, oh, we're trying to find it to make a crown. I was just like, it kind of wasn't making any sense with the Eternium stuff. And I thought Eternium was going to have more of a role in this particular film, and it didn't. Which I think was a missed opportunity. Because that seemed like the one substance that for some reason could actually injure Teth Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So that substance seemed like it could injure him as he got, and they had it in their weapons, in that one rocket that was shot at him. They had it in in their bikes. It looks like they used Eternium, and so I thought it was going to have more of a role, but the role was kind of weak. It really didn't give you any type of backstory on all the properties of Eternium. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, to me, it was kind of a non-issue. I see what you're saying. They could have been some more backstory, but at least they gave us one sentence. You know what I mean? Like, we got a very brief explanation, and I just kind of chalked it off as no need to waste any more screen time on this. But honestly, I think that this movie could have been a 2 hour and 20-minute film if they'd have put in all these things that we've discussed, but they're often too eager to keep things under 2 hours, and like with credits and 90 minutes. But no, I think this was a film that should have gotten a little bit more time to develop some more of these themes.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I speak about Eternium like that is because early on when the rocket was shot at him and it damaged him, I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, that's how the bad guys are going to fight, Teth Adam. That's exactly what I thought. So that came to mind immediately. Why else would they have the Eternium rocket? I mean, is that thing much more deadlier than a regular rocket? So it was just kind of like, okay, we got Eternium and we just put it in shit, and use it. Looks like it did give you hyperspeed.
Yeah.
From what I've seen with the bikes. So we got that. But of course, the movie kind of tricks you on the whole Teth Adam, Black Adam backstory, because you see the son who was about to be killed upon the altar because he steals the Eternium from one of the guards, and he disappears. And that's when you see the Council of Wizards, this is where it's differing from the Shazam movie, where there's only the one black wizard left. And I think that Shazam has different properties of where his powers derive from, as opposed to Teth Adam, if I'm correct.
I don't know that, but that sounds feasible.
Yeah. So let me see. I'm gonna pull this up and Shazam powers, because I seen it the other day, and somebody had an actual good breakdown of the actual powers themselves, and of course I can't find it immediately, because why would I be able to? But I'm gonna come back to that about where they derive it, because they derive it from different places, and it was actually kind of shocking to me right offhand, where it was like, yeah, you say Shazam, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Now, I don't know a ton about the Black Adam character, but I wasn't expecting them to say Shazam. Did that catch you off guard as well?
When they said Shazam?
Yeah. Well, yeah, when that was how he would, transform into.
Well, because of the lightning thing on his chest, I kind of had the inclination that this was somehow connected to Shazam and all that stuff. So when they said that, I wasn't shocked. It was more confirmation than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of weird because you have a Shazam character, and then you have Black Adam who also says Shazam.
Correct. Correct.
So you're like,
these characters came out a long time ago, and the guys who wrote it were smoking weed that day.
Do you think that's the case?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So let's see. Yeah. So we had that. So we had that little bit of a trickery right there at the beginning, and then of course we move over into where the young lady and her son and her brother, and of course Ishmael at the time, have located the tomb of Sabac's crown. Okay, the tomb at that point in time. Now, obviously, the mother is very studious. She knows the previous language, Kondak language, and somehow she knows the location of this crown, which it seems like she's been looking for a while. Now, the crown, of course, is connected to, looks like, just demons. It just seems to be, that's it. Now, I'm not sure if the actual king in the before understood that you had to die while wearing the crown for it to actually work. Cause I don't know if he understood that.
Well, that's when that's where they brought in that like life is the path to death and death is the path to life stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought that was okay. I didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, but it's like it's just like, I mean, how'd you figure that out? I mean, it's almost like, because I felt like they were doing the inscriptions on it. So I guess whoever blessed it or whatever, it's like, I guess you have to bless it. Somebody had to bless it. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. I mean, I'm not just going to carve this stuff out of Ethereum and say, oh yeah, that shit going to work. But You know what I'm saying? That shit gonna work, but I'm gonna get all the powers of all these demons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, here we go. Teth Adam. So his Shazam comes from Egyptian gods. So Shu, Haru, Aman, Zehuti, Atan, and Menthu. So that's where his powers derive from. Let's see, where does Shazam's powers derive from? So let's see where Shazam's, because I think his is like from Greek gods, which is, I don't know. I thought that was a little confusing to me on that. I don't know if you were as confused as I was on that particular thing with the whole Shazam deal.
No, I just kind of like, it's one of those things I try not to overanalyze.
Come on, man. That's what we do, though, man.
So maybe Shazam just took his name from that's the sound he had to make.
Okay, yeah. So Shazam, his powers come from Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. So his powers derive from totally different people. Yeah. So they derive from totally different people. So that's what it made me wonder. Of course, we see that
just brings up more questions about the wizards. Yeah, that brings up who the fuck are these wizards, and how are they just pulling people from these different religious pools of whatever? Like he's pulling some from Egypt, some from Greece. Mm-hmm. Like who the fuck are these wizards?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, they just have to deem you worthy, just randomly. They just randomly deem you worthy. So yeah, you worthy of the power of the gods. So the real question is, how many folks have they given these powers to? And there was one part, because later on we actually find out that The Rock originally, Dwayne Johnson originally did not have the powers of Shazam. It was his son, and his son transfers his powers to him. But if I'm correct, from the Shazam movie, Shazam shares his powers with his friends. Am I not right? Like,
I don't think so.
Friends, yeah, but what his friend? You got to remember, his friends turn into superheroes.
In
right
the
there
sequel.
At the end. Right there at the end.
Oh, man, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again.
Yeah, you got to remember. So his friends come around, and he said, and they hold his hand and say, "Hey, we say Shazam," and so he actually, all his friends turn into superheroes, because if you see in the sequel, where it's, they're talking about, well, in the trailer anyway, they're talking about his friends have powers and they've kind of went their own ways. He kind of shares the powers there. So in this particular case, the son immediately transfers his powers over to his dad, as opposed to it being a shared power. So that I thought that was something that was a little different. I don't know if it has to do with a pact or something like that that the Wizards have with this particular gentleman or not. It didn't really get into a whole lot of the backstory on that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, another thing that the backstory was slightly brushed over upon, but I'm not going to harp too much on that stuff. I kind of understand what the film was trying to do, and I understand there's a lot of backstory that they need to cover, and so I'll give them a pass for a lot of the backstory stuff that was missing.
Yes, I'm going to give them a pass, but I mean, we're reviewing the movie, Corey. No passes around here, okay? You get no hall passes. No, I mean, that's all good. Yeah, I mean, there's just certain quirks like that you want to know. If you're not savvy to the comic books, that's some of the things. Like I say, as always, you got to make sure your audience is grasping what you've got going on, because they've seen one movie, Shazam came out first, and they've seen how that particular set of powers work, and then they see these working in a totally separate way, so that can kind of throw you off some. So now you're like, okay, so why can't it happen like this here? But over here with the son, he just completely transfers his powers and turns back human again. So that's just things that you just need cleared up, and I'm pretty sure they can clear it up in future movies on why it went that way, as far as with the Wizards. But as far as with them actually finding the crown of Sabak, of course, Ishmael kills one of the people that's with him, throws him off the ledge, and they get the crown. Of course, the mother knows exactly how to speak Kahndaq and release Teth Adam. I only know she knew that she knew it was Teth Adam.
I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. I think she was just, man. You could have released Sabbac right there. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you could have released some type of demon. I
think that she might have associated that with the hero of Kahndaq. So I think she was. Maybe she didn't know it was Teth Adam, but she knew it was the hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, the hero. So that's how he gets released. Of course, from there he goes on a killing spree because they immediately start shooting at him, and horrific deaths. All right, people get electrocuted, people getting their arm, chopped off, head flopped off. I mean, so it was. The one thing I can say about DC is that they're not afraid to kill people. All right, Marvel's still scared. They're scared to kill people. They do, man. It's just touchy feely, man. It's just like that's why when Infinity War Endgame, when I seen them cut Thanos' head off, I said, damn, they cut his head clean off on camera. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even pan away. So I was like, that's a little raw for them. But DC, they ain't got no problem taking folk out. And there's one thing I can say throughout this movie. What do you think Black Adam's kill count is? I mean, it's got
20 or
60?
30. You think it was that high? Maybe.
Yeah.
So I do want to point something out here. So he gets the crown. And this is the thing that just drives me nuts. This is the one, I think, the biggest flaw of the movie is after he gets the crown. It is after he gets the crown. And Black Adam kicks some people's ass, but not his, because he's off doing his thing with the crown, becoming, this Sabbac demon person. The Rock just decides, I'm going to give up my powers, and I'm going to get locked away in a fucking underwater tank, and don't ever let me out. I'm sorry. What? I thought you didn't kneel before anyone and don't do what anyone says, but now you realize that you have to give up your powers right as the bad guy is getting his. And the Justice Society is aware of this. So, the idea that they would lock him up, obviously, an inevitable part of the movie, you had to have it to have a redemption arc. However, it was it was straight up stupid. And then, literally, the next scene after they put him in the fucking water is Hawkman getting his ass kicked and Dr. Fate getting his ass kicked by Sabbac. And then, well, you can take it from here. But you understand I'm still like speechless as over how dumb they handled the shit. And then they put him in the fucking water and they get him back out like 5 minutes later. Literally, it couldn't have been more than a couple days in the real world in the movie. It was just, it was so poorly thought out.
Yeah, that was kind of just, like you said, there had to be a redemption arc. Look, Teth Adam had seen that he had done enough damage, okay? He had destroyed things, and he knew that he wasn't the actual hero. So I'm no hero. And he was right. Because at that moment, because, he gave his powers up because when he gets super pissed, he just turns into a fucking explosion. Ethereum explosion, which there's got to be some type of connection between the powers imbued in him from the wizards and Ethereum, or Eternium. I'm sorry, Eternium. There's got to be some connection.
There has to be. However, I think that was something overlooked by the writers. They didn't make that connection there, and they failed to explain it well. And they assumed a connection, or assumed that we would assume the connection, and they didn't explain it. So yeah, that was kind of a fail on their part.
Yeah, because when he went to super rage mode, the explosion seemed like an Eternium explosion. It didn't seem like a lightning explosion. It seemed totally different as far as the way that imbued from him. And so that's actually. They end up explaining to you that's actually what happened to Kahndaq in the past, that he almost destroyed the whole place because of his rage. And the wizards see that, and this is another thing that threw us off. They said, we've chosen the wrong champion. Did they not realize that there was a whole different dude that had the powers? Or they just give folks powers and just fall asleep? I mean, they were just like, we've chosen the wrong champion. It's like, dog, you didn't choose this guy. Y'all weren't looking when the sun gave the man the powers. I mean, it's just like... Y'all just fall asleep. Y'all just hand out
a
powers
failure on
and
the
fall
writer's
asleep.
part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that bit of dialogue was just kind of weird. I would have much preferred to be like, oh shit, this new guy's got the powers. We need to stop him. Of course, they managed to fight him off. I guess they show up immediately, fight him off, and lock him away. Even though I guess they can't just take the powers back. I'm not sure about these wizards. Okay, that I need a little bit more on the wizard community, and the ins and outs of it, of how they delve out powers. I guess how they can't take them back. I can give them to you, but I can't rescind said invitation. It's almost like vampires. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give them the invitation for them to come in your house. So it's just like, we gave you the invitation, so I already invited you. I can't rescind it. So that was one of the things. Kind of threw me. Like I said, we're nitpicking, but you go through this, you can nitpick some stuff that the writers missed on that. So I could have had a little bit more backstory on that. Pretty much in between the beginning right there and all the way through the movie, if you want to be honest, there's not a ton of plot. It's just a lot of fighting.
Yeah. Bad guy gets powers who shouldn't have powers. Good guy who isn't a real good guy, but he's forced into being a good guy, has to go take out the bad guy who just got his newfound powers. And I think we've seen this plot before.
Right. Now, I thought one of the interesting things is how Waller has a whole sanctuary of people she's got locked in like a cryostasis.
Yes.
The place where they took. Yeah. So the real question is, who did she got down there?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Who exactly? Because it seemed like hundreds, if not thousands, of different people. We're assuming all of them have powers. How long have they been doing this? Has the Justice Society is one of their things is actually going and corralling some of these people? That's what it seems. It seems she calls on them. If there's a mission that's a little too dirty, of course, that could bring ties back to the United States, we know she uses the Suicide Squad for that, as she did in the past two films. So she seems to be she's pulling multiple strings. She's almost like the Nick Fury of the DC universe. That's what they kind of portraying her as. Could you agree with that?
Oh yeah, without question.
Yeah, just a touch more ruthless than Nick Fury. So yeah, that's what they kind of portraying her as. Of course, I think she's going to have a major role in majority of the films in the future, as far as her getting teams together and trying to shut down threats. Now, we also know that she has no problem getting her hands dirty as far as with experimentation on superheroes and things of that nature. So she's not a good guy. Let's just say that. Nick Fury seems more like a good guy. She's kind of like she's not a good gal. All right,
he has alternative agendas afoot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no doubt about that. So. Of course, we end up seeing the rest of the backstory with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, receiving the powers and his son getting struck down immediately. I mean, I'm like, damn, Bo. I mean, switched the powers right to him and then bam, arrow right in the chest. Damn. I mean, I thought maybe it'd at least be a day or something. We see from there he goes into his rage. What was the actual ruler's name at that point in time? Ankot. Yeah.
Ankot.
Yeah. So we figure out that Ishmael is a descendant of Ankot. So this is what I've always said about stuff in real time. I'm like, look, you can defeat people in a battle, but the enemy always has people lying in the waits, waiting for their time to strike. The diabolical plan. So Ishmael, they've been waiting for 5,000 years. All right. To get this crown, all right? So I mean, we got one guy who's finally able to do it. I said, did anybody else get close? That's what we want to know. Did anybody else get close in conduct to get the crown of Sabak? It doesn't seem that way. But Ishmael knew exactly what to do. I mean, exactly. He said, oh, yeah, I knew that when I stole the child, that it would piss off Teth Adam, which I'm not sure how he knew that, but somehow he knew it. Okay. and it would piss him off. It's kind of, it almost makes me think almost like the Thor: Love and Thunder when Gore the God Butcher steals the kids, but he's like, the gods don't care about nobody. I was like, why would you steal the kids then? Obviously the gods wouldn't come try to get him back, so Thor wouldn't come to get him. But I mean, hey, that's neither here nor there. Okay, it's a writing thing. Okay, I mean, it's something we overlook. We overlook his previous dialogue, but Ishmael knew exactly what to do. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll know," and I've got some type of feeling that he almost had to die in that particular way while wearing the crown by Teth Adam in order for it to work. That's what it's almost like charged the crown when Teth Adam exploded and just burnt him to a crisp. And Corey, help me out on this, because they took the crown off of him, but I guess he got sent to the underworld, and so he's now the rightful owner of the crown. Because later on, when he's Sabak, the crown's not even on his head anymore.
Right. So what I'm sensing is a lack of thorough explanation by the writers once again. Slight contradiction here, and so yes, they could have done a better job, or maybe they should have not tried to make connections between things that there weren't connections between. You know, it seems like they tried to force a lot. Like you said on the Eternium, the connection to Teth Adam, there really is none. There shouldn't be one, but it seems as though there is for some reason that we don't understand. So it seems like there's a lot of that going on. Yeah.
So that kind of, because I was thinking like maybe once he had the crown on his head, if they were able to get the crown off his head, you know, kind of almost like the Infinity Gauntlet, that he would go back, you know, regular or being dead or whatever. But it just seems like afterwards he kind of, I see it on his head initially, but then when when Black Adam's tearing him apart, I don't see the crown on his head during that time. So I'm just like,
correct.
So I'm like, okay, so I guess the crown's just part of him now.
I felt like the crown became those horns.
Okay, that could be the case. That's a good point. That's a good point,
because they had that blue glow to them.
Okay, I can agree with that. Another question: Could there be another Sabak? Well, I guess the crown's technically destroyed. And I guess technically anybody who understood how to use it understand they need to die. Now, like we said previously, I don't know if you need to die from a blast from Eternium, if that had to be involved in it, but I'm wondering if there could be people in the future, but it doesn't seem that way, that could have had the crown of Sabak and had a similar outcome, or if you had to be the descendant of that particular ruler. That was a question I had. Could anybody have been Sabak? Even unbeknownst, you know what I'm saying? You didn't even know it. You got the crown and you decide you want to put it on your head and you get run over by a truck. Will you become Sabak? I mean, right. Good question. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, because somebody could just stumble across that thing. It's like, oh man, what's that? And it didn't seem to have any type of properties that would make people want to put it on their head. You know what I'm saying? Like almost like the precious, you know. And I thought maybe that was
uncomfortable as shit.
Yeah, I thought that would maybe be a part of the backstory, like, you know, well, the crown corrupts whoever touches it, and things that I thought that maybe something like that would be a part of it. But when I seen the lady she just grabbed it because it's hovering in between two rocks. Right. I'm not sure why it's hovering, but it is. And look, wizards. If you knew this was such a bad crown, can y'all not go and move this crown somewhere else? Because y'all not taking the crown. That's why I thought maybe it was going to have some properties that would corrupt somebody. Which is not the case.
Not the case. It almost opens up the question to why did they hide it in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, because
if you had to have the bloodline of Sabak and all that stuff, like very few people could have claimed it. So yeah, Who the hell knows? Like, this just goes back to writers being retarded and getting paid way too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just fine things like that if they added that into the movie a little bit, just a touch. You don't have to give us a ton, but just a touch of just a little bit backstory there. It just kind of it wraps the movie up more. And I've heard people that's been very critical of the movie, which I think. I mean, we've been critical, but I thought overall it was a decent movie. But it's things like that might have turned some people's views better. Now, of course, we know on Rotten Tomatoes the audience is loving this movie.
Yeah,
it's action. Look,
well, here's the thing. Let me give you my opinion on the audience reaction. I think they're loving it because it wasn't horrible. I think that's pretty much the bottom line. It didn't suck. It wasn't bad. And therefore, holy shit, what a relief that is to have a movie like this compared to the crap we've been getting.
Right. Yeah, especially right here recently with some of the Marvel releases. And even a lot of the DC releases have been flops. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did enjoy the latest Suicide Squad. I thought that one was that one was done well with Idris Elba, Peacemaker. That I thought that one was pretty good.
I watched it, and honestly, I couldn't answer a question about it. I don't know. I watched it, and I don't remember nothing.
I guess that's fair enough. So on Corey's list, I don't remember the movie. Yeah, so that's how we're gonna leave it. So yeah, that's pretty much about Sabbac. He wants to. I'm assuming that portal that we're gonna bring demons down to Earth because, of course, we see him raise up skeletons.
And that's another thing. The bad guy wanting to raise hell on Earth is like a played out fucking theme. And like, what does that mean? Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to turn hell on Earth and then what? Like, so the entire plot of him wanting to raise hell on Earth is shallow. It really is meaningless. And it's totally a superfluous plot line.
But, well, Sabbac almost feels... Sabbac was a means to an end. That's what I feel like Sabbac was for this movie. He was a means to an end because it needed a reason for the Justice Society and Black Adam to fight together against a common foe. So that's what I felt like Sabbac was, as opposed to being an integral part of what was actually going on,
right?
Per se. Now we know we've got this random group that is, holding up the city, and I guess for their Eternium. And so, as we've said before, I just felt like they could have used the Eternium more in this movie and could have brought some things together as far as the properties of it and things of that nature to kind of tie some of this together, especially on why or how Eternium could actually give you a gateway to another realm, almost like they're using in the Rings of Power with Mithril, which we're not sure how they're doing that, but it's almost like the same properties. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but again, it reminded me, like, I don't understand this, like, desire for these movies to have a theme around some fucking element that does some shit. Like,
they got to, man.
Like, it's like Unobtainium says it all. Like, I was over it the first time I heard it back in Avatar. I didn't need to hear about it again. And here we got Unobtainium 2.0 in Eternium. So, I don't even understand where the fuck Eternium comes from. Why is it so special? Was it like, at least we know, like, Krypton explodes and creates kryptonite, and therefore kryptonite can hurt Superman. So we have a story on this element. I don't know nothing about Eternium except they stole it from fucking Skeletor. And you see, this is why it should have been a 2-hour and 20-minute movie to give you an extra 20, 30 minutes of this stuff. I have a feeling a lot of this stuff is on the cutting room floor.
I could agree with you on that. Probably a lot of that's on the cutting room floor. I think that the one of the main things they want to make sure this thing kept your attention the whole time, which it did. I mean, it kept your attention the whole time because you had no other choice. there was pretty much action throughout the entirety of the movie, especially with Black Adam, Teth Adam, on the screen, and pretty much the entire time he was on the screen, he was in some type of combat. The only time he really wasn't in combat is when he gave himself up because he almost killed everybody because he got pissed. Which we see that in the backstory. Once you get towards the end, it gives you. It almost gives you, folks have like a twist in it. It gives you a twist backstory. So I will say that's what they did in that particular situation. They almost give you a twist backstory. A lot of good stories have a twist in them, and so that gave you a twist backstory initially. Because, like I said, if we're thinking about Shazam being a little kid, he says Shazam, he gets bigger, gets powers. I was thinking the same thing with Teth Adam in that situation, and so that gave you a little bit of a twist there. As far as that goes. So Sabbac, Dr. Fate, he releases Teth Adam from the cell. Of course, he still has the muzzle over his mouth. He's getting shot in the back. He drowns. Somehow says his name. Because he just floats to the surface. I was like, man, drowned. He done got shot in the back. He done drowned. And so it's just like, okay. I mean,
that scene was a little weird.
Yeah, it's just like, all right. So I guess he can fight outside of his superpowered state, as he was, or maybe it was just what they call it? Just maybe Dr. Fate was assisting him a little bit with a little bit of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Dr. Fate seals off the area to go fight Sabbac to save Hawkman. Noble move by him. And Dr. Fate, he just got punched in the stomach. That was it. One punch in the stomach, and that killed him. I said, it's a hell of a punch. I was suspecting him to get impaled or something, but now Sabbac punched him in the stomach one time, and he faded. I was like, okay.
Well, you might have punched him through the stomach. You might have just gone, all the way through.
I didn't see it go through the other side, though. I seen it stop. It was a solid punch, okay? Hey, look, Bruce Lee did kill some folks in old movies with punches to the gut, okay? He punched the guts out. So, I mean, I guess if Bruce Lee can punch the guts out, I'm figuring Sabbac can punch the guts out as well. And so Dr. Fate fades into the ether, but his helmet doesn't go anywhere. His helmet stays there. So, but then it fades later. So it's just like,
okay. Exactly. Why did it fade later? Because they needed it for that final scene.
Yeah, and I guess Hawkman's worthy to touch it and knew exactly how to use it, which I thought that the helmet chose who was allowed to touch it. I'm just like, okay.
Right. You're not supposed to ask these questions. That's what my mother would always tell me. When I would ask questions like this growing up, my mom would be like, you're not supposed to ask those questions.
Oh,
Thanks, Mom.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hey, look, man, inquiring minds like to know. You know what I'm saying? Inquiring minds. There's stuff like that I'm inquiring about. So as I'm watching this, I'm trying to say, okay, so I'm trying to take everything in and then think about it in a literal sense. Okay, so why did this happen? Why did that happen? Like you said, extra 20 minutes of runtime, you might be able to get we just need itty bitty pieces of different things, Eternium, Dr. Fate's helmet, things of that nature. We didn't need any more backstory on Cyclone and Atom Smasher because they were characters just to be there. You just needed some extra people in the movie that had quote unquote powers. Hawkman uses Dr. Fate's trick. I actually thought that Hawkman got stabbed in the gut. I said, damn, Bo. Dr. Fate did all that just for Hawkman to die to say the exact same. What did he say? I said, damn, Dr. Fate. That's what I thought, but come to find out he had run the same trick. And I guess your clones actually have a physical presence. From what we've seen.
Yeah.
They have an actual physical presence to hold them down. So you got any thoughts on that?
Well,
on the magic?
totally ridiculous. Everything that you said was on point. You know, the more we're talking about it, the lower the fucking cube score is going. But that whole scene, like everything that you pointed out, needs answers. Mm-hmm. We didn't get them. Mm-hmm. I guess he was chosen worthy. Mm-hmm.
And I guess he only gets to use it one time.
He needs to fucking die, though, because Dr. Fate saw it. So Dr. Fate obviously is wrong.
But I guess Dr. Fate has almost like the time stone. He can see different futures depending on what's done. So it's just like when they were sitting on that planet and Doctor Strange was going through all the different scenarios of how they could beat Thanos. He said there's only one way, and that's why he gave him the time stone. So there's only one way we can beat him. But he didn't tell anybody that way. So I can't tell you the way, because if I tell you, then you won't do it. So there's only one way to beat him. It's like, well, damn, man. I mean, can I get a little bit of info? Can I get a hint? I'll take a hint. Can I get a hint? I would appreciate a hint, because right now Thanos is kicking our ass, okay? He's kicking all of our asses. So yeah, of course, Black Adam in probably the weakest fight was him and Sabbac, because he just kind of ripped Sabbac in half.
By that point in the movie, I didn't want to sit through another 10-minute battle scene, honestly.
Okay.
So I could see them coming in, wrapping it up real quick. Other movies have done this in the past, and I thought it was fairly appropriate.
Okay. I thought it was going to rip the horns off, not rip them in half.
Correct. I thought the horns were going to get ripped off, and that would be like symbolic of removing the crown. But the ripping in half was a little over the top. Didn't have to go that way. Kind of unrealistic and gratuitous. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. So that pretty much wrapped it up. Now Teth Adam is the hero. You find out that statue that was built, it wasn't actually of Teth Adam; it was of his son.
Right.
Because it never shows his son actually using the powers, but I guess he was using them to try to liberate the people of Kahndaq. So we do find that out, that little bit of backstory there. The movie ends up wrapping up the mid-credit scene where Waller explains to Black Adam that, hey, I let you out of the facility, fair enough, but in Kahndaq you must stay. All right, it's almost like house arrest, Kahndaq. All right, and Black Adam allows her to know, it's like, hey, there ain't nobody on this planet that can stop me. And she's like, well, I got people from other planets. What planets do you think? What people do you think she'd be talking about? I don't think she's talking about Superman. We do see Superman in this scene, but
I thought that was exactly who she was talking about.
Okay, well, she says other people from other planets, so we got plural. I guess Superman could be one, but we haven't seen. But we haven't seen a connection unless I don't know if Waller's in the Snyder's cut of Justice League, but outside of the Suicide Squad in this particular movie, I hadn't seen her connection with other superheroes as of right now, or maybe even quote unquote other anti-heroes, because we know she has no problem using villains per se to do whatever job she needs to have done.
Right, but yeah, I kind of felt she was hinting at Superman, and then obviously we get the post-credits scene. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. There was another.
Well, the one with Superman. Superman comes in and goes, "Hey, we need to talk." Yeah. And then it cuts right there.
Yeah.
So obviously they're opening up the door for a Superman Black Adam kind of crossover. Henry Cavill came out and said that he is back as Superman. So we should be expecting to see another Superman.
Yeah, they were talking about Man of Steel too.
Right. So we're going to see that. That was Joss Whedon, right? Who did that?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Joss Whedon did some good stuff.
So. Yeah, I believe so.
But no, the DC universe is our only hope, because Marvel is complete fucking garbage. I don't give two shits about anything else Marvel's putting out. I will watch it because I have to. But I've always, growing up, I was always a DC fan over Marvel. And so, I mean, Batman, Superman, like you got the best people in DC. You always have.
They probably got better villains too. They got better villains too.
And it just hasn't been done quite right in film, other than like Justice League was decent. But yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. Hopefully, they don't screw it up.
Yep. So for me, rating on this, I'd probably give it 6 cubes out of 10.
That's where I'm at. 6 out of 10.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that's crushing the particular movie. Said it was absolute garbage. No, we watched garbage, okay, and we watched it recently. It's called She-Hulk. It's called Thor: Love and Thunder. Those were actually garbage. IMDb rating, we got 7.1 out of 10. This was with 49,000 people putting their particular ratings in. So right around us. It's a decent enough movie, no doubt. I think it's one of those. Do you have to go to theaters and watch it? No, of course not.
I mean,
yep. Hey, Corey, you paid to watch the movie, okay? That's what happened. All right, so let's keep it where it's at. All right. So, do you have to go to theaters and watch this? No, of course not. But I would if you are going to watch this at home. If you got a good sound system, turn it up, because I mean there's plenty of action, plenty of loud kabooms. For me personally, I like the movie experience of these particular movies. That's just me personally. I think they make them a touch better. Sometimes when you're sitting at the house, you're not immersed the same way as you are with the big screen. So yeah, if you want to go watch this on the big screen, it's not a bad watch. You don't feel like you're there for 2 hours. It flows pretty nicely. So sometimes
despite the rating I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, and despite all the criticisms, I enjoyed watching the movie. I mean, so
yeah.
I'm not angry that I watched it like when I like She-Hulk or none of that stuff. So overall, if people ask me, I'd say it was a good movie. But if you want to get technical, 6 out of 10, and it has a bunch of problems. Yeah,
6 out of 10, a bunch of problems. It probably could have got an extra 2 points, extra 20 minutes of runtime, give us a little bit more of background on some of the things that that were introduced that seemed to be integral to the plot, but they didn't really explain. So I think it probably could have bumped it up a couple more points for me on that. As far as the acting goes, it was as good as it's going to be for this particular type of movie. As we said, there's some throwaway characters. JSA, they needed to put somebody in there for Black Adam to fight for the most of the movie. So that's kind of why they're there. Let's be honest. Integral part of it, not exactly. But he needed some type of foe to fight, as opposed to, because Sabbac is kind of like under the scenes. So Sabbac's not really a main integral part of this movie, to be honest. He's just kind of there at the end to tie back to 5,000 years ago. So yeah, that's our feelings on this movie. 6 out of 10, not bad. So it is definitely worth a watch if you guys want to go watch it. Any final thoughts on this particular film, Corey?
No, I'm just interested to see what's next.
Yep. Seeing what I assume it'll be The Flash. I think. I think
He's
so.
Fast. So what?
Yeah. I watched.
Okay, so I watched that Flash TV series for like 5 fucking seasons, like an idiot, expecting it to not be so dumb, and I can't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. It just became the dumbest shit ever. Like alternate timelines, like changing every fucking week. Good guys dying, coming back as bad guys. Like if there really was a clusterfuck of nonsense, it is the Flash TV show. I
think the Flash movie's gonna have something to do with that, though. Almost like reset the universe.
So the Flash was crucial in the creation of like the New 52 and the whole Flashpoint timeline, and that was some like brilliant storyline stuff. It has not been executed on film or TV well at all. So hopefully they can do something with that. Okay. All
right. Yeah. So yeah, that's our review of Black Adam. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to have, I put out the Wakanda Forever trailer breakdown right here recently. So go check us out on that. We will be checking that movie out when it comes out. That one has an extended runtime. So, my God, but I don't know who all they're going to give us the backstory on that. Probably Namor, if I had to guess. We're going to look at the new Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer, Quantumania, which is going to really give us we've been introduced to Kang and Loki, but this is going to give us our first look at the actual villain Kang. So we're going to do a breakdown of that. And then, of course, we're going to come to y'all with the Andor breakdown. I decided to do those 2 episodes at a time. That makes sense because a lot of times you have stuff leading up into the next episode, so it makes sense to do those kind of 2 at the time. So we'll have that, and we're going to be bringing you guys some other stuff as soon as I find some time to watch some shit. Okay. There's no doubt about it. So we appreciate everybody for checking us out. Be on the lookout for some of our other content coming your way from your boy SQ420, co-host Corey Hughes. We'll catch y'all on the next Showtime with the Cube. Peace out.